They still suck. You know, like they had a little time. They show a little fun bad, but that 2024 is still in there. On the welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with our friends over at Bet365. Use promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. That was the worst cold open in show history. It only goes up from there, folks. I'm Sean Anderson, your host. Alongside me, Joey Christopoulos, my producer.
What's up, Sean?
All right. As Joshua Phillips says, bear down. That's the classic White Sox saying. Bear down, folks. Sox lose 1-0 to the Tigers. Bear down, Chicago White Sox. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO White Sox podcast on Spotify, iTunes. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports channel on YouTube. On today's show, we'll be talking about that loss. Mainly, the White Sox were unable to support their all-star. Shane Smith looked like an all-star again today. We'll talk about how he's changed up things post-injury. We'll also talk about the lack of offense from the White Sox. There was a real fun play from Luis Robert Jr. that I think deserves a little bit of credit. Someone was saying he's checked out, and I think he's, been on base in like 25 of the last 30 games. And today in the fifth inning, he saved it from being a 2-0 game, a 3-0 game. He made a nice slick play in the outfield. Then we'll talk about Luis and Colson because we've seen a little bonding. We haven't seen a ton of bonding between Luis Robert Jr. and non-Eloy Jimenez people. I mean, there was a little bit of bonding with Jose Abreu, but we haven't seen a ton of bonding of Luis Robert Jr. and his teammates. But he's apparently getting real cozy with one of the newbies. And then we'll talk about the White Sox falling in the prospect rankings, what it means, what it doesn't mean. Should you be worried? Should you not be worried? If you have any thoughts, let us know in the comments. Good to see Shy Sox Anthony back with us, losing 2 of 3, but still played Detroit great throughout all 3. They lose on Monday 2-1. They win yesterday 9-6, and then they lose today 1-0. As Mansu Lee, not the real Mansu Lee, but I think it's Palehose05 on Twitter, said the Sox do lose 2 out of 3, but when you're a team that wants to stay at the bottom of the tank standings, and you win on aggregate 10-9 on runs, is it truly a loss? Joey, your thoughts? I say no. I think this is actually like the true definition of a win. This is a win-win for the White Sox. They lost 2 games, which, isn't great for the record, but who cares? They get to stay with the highest percentage for the 2026 draft lottery. We're going to talk about why that's important later on in the show. But then also, you score more runs.
In the land of the yin and the yang, when we're talking about the fun and the bad side, today was part of the bad side, but when it talks, this season is about wins and losses, and it is about maybe possibly getting that number 1 pick next year. So I'm in total agreement with you. Shane Smith looks like an all-star. He had that little down stretch for like a couple weeks before the all-star game. We were worried, would he actually even make the all-star team? He looks back into form. Martin Perez, welcome back, man. We missed you. I kind of forgot about you for half a second. Kyle Teal hitting leadoff, and man, you're right. Luis Robert making some great plays out there in the outfield, smacking a double. I can officially state that Luis Robert still cares.
Well, and that's the thing too. Hey, he makes the play, I think, in the top of the 5th defensively, and then comes up in the bottom of the 5th.
Hey, 2 of them
breaks up the no hitter. Because what is it? Tyler Holton. What the hell is this kid's name?
Melton?
Tyler Melton. Bill Melton.
Belton Melton?
Ty Melton had a no-hitter through 5 innings of today's game. But Zachary P., before we get into today's game, asking the most important question, rather about the minutia of the game. They lose 1-0. Zachary P. asking, how many 1-run losses do we now have? Over at TJ Stats tweeted this yesterday, so now you can add 1 on. They are now 9-27. A major league worst. Atlanta, who Shy Sox Anthony says, go Braves, is 14-28. The White Sox, and they're 29th in baseball, with that 14-28 record. The White Sox 9-26.
Put that in your bag for the offseason. No, that's going to get us through the winter. If you want to start like shining the turd of a White Sox season, you go, hey, 9-27 in one-run games. Turn a couple of those around.
It's a real admirable feat right there.
What's that?
To undertake.
Yeah.
It's an admirable feat to undertake. Really no gain besides just fondling feces. How wonderful.
Oh, I got a great turd shining kit. Get it real sparkling.
We are going to skid out of this one.
Martin Perez, top of rotation starter. Pull out my kit.
Yeah, hey, that was our former ace, and we'll see him probably in a starting role in some capacity. But Shane Smith was fantastic. Just real quick on the one-run record stuff. White Sox 9-27 now. That's a -18 differential. There are 3 teams in Major League Baseball with a -10 differential. Arizona -10, and this is from yesterday, so I don't know if that's completely updated. Atlanta -14, White Sox now -18. There's only 2 teams with a +10, and that's Seattle at 10 and Milwaukee at 10. So it kind of tells you when you look at those data sets, right? If you go back to 5th grade when they were teaching about mean, median, and mode, you look at that 18. That 18 is much bigger than those 10s and those 14s. The White Sox are doing something fairly impressive, honestly. Impressively bad this year in one-run games, being a sub-18. But yeah, right now the White Sox, with their 44-77 record, they have a 25.4% odds to get the best pick in the 2026 draft, but not only the best pick, but the largest draft pool to spend on all those draft picks. Let's get into today's game. Antoine's live from work as well. Shout out to Antoine. Sox lose 1-0. It was fairly boring today. This no-hitter was broken up in the bottom of the 5th by Luis Robert Jr. An Oppo double hit 104 that might have had enough to get out. It just wasn't hit high enough. But then in the top of the 6th, the Tigers finally break through and score, and it's off Perez. They relieve Shane Smith, not Sean Burke. They relieve Shane Smith, and I think part of it was just to get Perez work. He's been throwing about 40 pitches, and it seems like they kind of ended his rehab stint early, and it's more, hey, Martin, you want to have a rehab stint in the bullpen? So they ended up having him throw 66 pitches, and his team was pretty excited for him, giving him a round of applause coming back from this shoulder injury that kept him off for a 60-day IL. When you are a pitcher and you go on the 60-day IL, usually that's a death sentence for your season, so it is great to see Martin Perez come back, but when you're going up against the heart of the Tigers lineup as your rehab stint, it's not going to go too well.
Welcome back.
Yeah, Kerry Carpenter, White Sox killer, singled to right. Torkelson then doubled to center, and that's one of the great plays right there from Luis Robert Jr. It's hit into the left center gap. He has a great sliding stop to stop the ball from going to the actual wall, and then in one swift motion, it's not a laser of a throw, but he throws it, no bounce needed, completely to Lenin Sosa in the infield, and Lenin's able to then cut that ball off and keep Carpenter at third. Green then walked to load the bases. Perez hit a sac fly to center. Carpenter
Which was another
scored.
great play by Luis Robert, by the way, tracking that sac fly down. That was all the way.
Describe that one again for me.
That was all the way to the wall. He tracked it almost in the exact same spot. It was in the center left field center gap area, but took it all the way to the warning track. And I couldn't just eyeball test. Right. I don't know if every single center fielder gets that ball, but he made a nice job tracking that ball down.
If he doesn't, it's at least a double with 2 scoring, right? And then Baez strikes out, big there for Perez. And then Jones grounded out into a fielder's choice, and that's the end of the 6th, making a 1-0 game. And the Sox had ample opportunity to come back. And there was a pretty iffy, or not iffy, but I was not happy in the bottom of the 7th. Sosa lined out, I believe, on the first pitch against Sawyer Gibson Long, which is like kind of the curse of Lenin Sosa, is the dude's just going to swing at everything. So if you give him a bad pitch, it's easy for him to get himself out. And then Colson lined out to center, and he got some fairly hittable pitches. One was a fastball out and away, which pitches away from the barrel if he's using a torpedo bat, and he did look at it. And then there was a pitch middle in, and he lined out, and I think he just was like a little too under it, and maybe a little bit too early on it, because he just didn't get good enough wood on it. It was just a line out that was easily played in center field. And then Robert comes up, and it was a first pitch ball, and you're like, all right, Luis is going to do this. Great. And then he faces like 3 borderline changeups that easily could have been balls, but in classic Luis fashion, strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, all whiffing. That was their best chance to tie this game up, and they did not get to it. So kind of a heartbreaking fashion here for the Sox to lose 1-0. But again, they have the best percent to get the number 1 pick in 2026. Pittsburgh is now 2. So if we are rooting for Atlanta, we also have to root for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 51-70. They've lost 4 straight. They are currently in second. Atlanta 51-68. So they haven't played the same amount of games, but Pittsburgh is 18.5 games back. Sox are 11.5 games back. I think if so what, the Pirates are 7 games back? 18 minus 11?
Pirates are currently losing right now 10-5 to the Milwaukee Brewers in the bottom of the 7th. So
okay, so it's currently 18.5 minus 11. That's 7. But it would be 6 if they lose against the Brewers. So Pittsburgh closing in on the White Sox. And I think since the White Sox beat them, Pittsburgh would have a tiebreaker. So yay. I don't know if that's exactly how that works, but fun. Anyways, let's get into Shane Smith because he was the star of today's show for the White Sox. We got about 4 minutes to jump in to Shane Smith's day. And the developing story for Shane, especially since his post-All-Star break and post fake injury. I know it's definitely real, the injury that he suffered in the outfield of Pittsburgh. He didn't need a rehab start. He just very weirdly twisted his ankle.
Caution.
Thankfully, I don't think anyone will report the White Sox for doing that. But anyways, you look at what he has done since his return. He wasn't using his sinker from like probably the end of June to that IL stint. And then once he came back, used it 19%, and then he used it 15%. And then today, coming back, using it 17%. And what you've also seen is an increase in his curveball. Pretty much since the July 6th start, he was at 4.2%, and it's jumped up to 21%, 20%, 24%, and then today, 24% again. And what you're seeing is an abandonment of his slider. It does say that he has 2 sliders thrown today, but I think those are mostly just misdiagnoses or misjudgments by StatCast. I don't think that he's really looked to use his slider mostly. And if he's using it as a slider, I think he's more trying to use it as a cut fastball rather than a slider because his slider doesn't get a ton of depth, making it a fairly negative pitch. But what he has done is focused on these 4 pitches that are decent. The curveball is the worst of the 4, but because it works against lefties and righties, and because it's like slightly below average, but it can work against both hitters, that's why he's using it 24%. But the 4-seam fastball, the changeup, and sinker are all plus pitches. And the sinker really plays well off the curveball, the changeup. The sinker's about 95, and it has really good arm side action. So it looks like it's going to go straight down the middle, and then it tails low and away if you're talking about a lefty, or, looks like it's going to go right down the middle, and then it tails in to a righty. And the changeup has similar arm side action, but it also just completely drops off the table. And since the sinker's 95, the changeup's 94, or the changeup's 92, they stay on the same plane, and then really about 30 feet away from the plate. And this is the insane part about hitting. The sinker goes there, changeup goes there, and you're either swinging in the middle of those and you're hitting the sinker up, or you're drilling the changeup down, or you're just whiffing. It's really a predicament that he puts hitters in. And then he has this 4-seam fastball that he loves, used at 39% today, and he's able to get whiffs high in the zone. 8 whiffs on 20 swings. It's a 40% whiff rate. 5 called strikes on the 4-seam fastball. A 36% called strike plus whiff percentage on his 4-seam fastball. He's got a really good 4-seam fastball. The sinker, very good. The changeup's very good. The curveball, he's mainly using as something to throw off hitters. Like, I got to keep that in the back of my mind. The Tigers today did very well against this curveball, but for the main part, starters need to have 4+ pitches to be effective. And I think Shane having 3+ pitches and a 4th pitch that he trusts, if he's able to at least keep that curveball down and entice swings out of the zone, that's what it's there for. He's just got to work on keeping it down. Because there was even a pitch that he gets a called strike against on Gleyber Torres, and it's a bender that goes right low and inside against the righty. And if, that's just an absolute power pitch. It's fairly teed up there for Gleiber, low and in, but he's, caught him looking on that one. Antoine said, I thought Shane's curveball looked good today, even with some misses. 2 called strikes and then 2 whiffs, so he just wasn't enticing them enough. Only 2 fouls, too, and then when you look at the 3 balls that were put in play, there's an average exit velocity of 97 miles per hour. So, it's got a nice bend, and I think that's why you have to throw it, but I don't think that he gets enough depth on it, and I don't think he is locating it low enough. It's mostly... if he's lucky, it catches the bottom of the zone, not even just the lower outer edge. So it's I think mostly about fine tuning it. The Stuff Plus is about 42 the grade, and that's on a 20 to 80 grade scale, so below average. We have to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented by Bet365. We'll be back with some Luis Robert Jr., Colson, Montgomery talk, and then we'll talk about some prospects here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. It's a place where all kinds of visitors, whether you're a newbie or an expert, are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. If you are a newbie, their bud tenders are kind and knowledgeable and can help you through their menu. If you are an expert, they have over 100 strains to choose from. So if you like an indica, a sativa, a hybrid, you can place your order online and get served and get in and out with your cannabis. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary, with locations in the city like Wrigleyville and River North, and to the suburbs like Champaign and South Beloit. I'm a big fan of the Elmwood Park location. It's a very beautiful township that you can go visit and go get some Gene and Jude's. They put fries on the hot dogs. It's crazy. Visit Sunnyside.shop for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. If you're an existing user, use promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Lab branded item. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. We got to let you know about our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. They are live in Illinois, and they are your new bookie. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. If you have an issue, the people that run the beautiful Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas run this sports book. And within 10 minutes, you'll have an actual person talking to you, unlike AI chatbots on other sportsbook. You can fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. They have spreads, props, futures on in-game wagering as well. Circa Sports has it all, and we're coming up to NFL season. It's a great time to go check out the props. Who do you like for MVP? Who do you like to win the Super Bowl? Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 plus or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. If you got any thoughts, make sure you share them in the chat. We got Melissa saying these one-run game losses are killers. They are, but again, you got to embrace the tank, Melissa. And Kavan saying Tigers are really good, didn't allow many mistakes, and that is a fair point as well. When you're winning games 2-1 and 1-0, that is part of the Tigers. I think that along with the Brewers, they don't play very flashy baseball, but 1 through 9s, they're all pretty good hitters, and they play really good defense. I was surprised at how good Baez was in center field. There was a couple balls was like, oh, those are getting down, and he's making very easy catches out there. Pretty absurd for like a 31-year-old. How old's Javi now? 32? For him to just switch from a shortstop to a center fielder. Pretty absurd. And then I did want to get to Doveman before we got to taking the temp with our friends over at Four Seasons. 13 Doveman saying AAA team putting up video game numbers. It is AAA. AAA is much different monster than MLB, and minor league baseball is a lot watered down than it used to be. But Doveman saying, let's see how Will Robertson, Elko, Ramos fare in the big league for another shot. I'm not against the idea of Robertson. I guess that would mean cutting bait with Michael A. Taylor. I don't know if they want to do that. And then Elko, again, I know people want to see him. I just think that that's either you're not seeing Curtis Mead, who I think they would rather see a shot at, or you're not seeing Lenine Sosa. I guess you could say Rojas, but like Sosa and Vargas are playing first. There's no real spot to put Elko, because either Sosa or Benintendi is DHing, or Caro and Teal. I don't think that, maybe Elko's a part of September call-ups, but I don't know if they're looking for another first baseman. I mean, it could just be Corey Lee. I wouldn't get super excited about that. But then I just go back to Doveman really quick. The other name he brought up was Brian Ramos. Ramos is a guy that will not be brought up, I think. And not because he's playing poorly in AAA or anything. It's an 86 weighted runs created plus. But the pop is there. I would be interested to see how he readjusts to Major League Baseball. He looked, interesting when he was called up in kind of a hurry 2 years ago. But since he was called up in 2024, and I think he was called up in 2023 at some point, right? But they've used 2 options on him. He only has 1 minor league option. So if they keep him in the minor leagues this year, I believe they keep that option. So what I think that they're trying to do, at least for Brian Ramos, is not burn that option to keep him flexible for next year. We'll see on Ramos. But, I don't think they're missing any talent, really. They're sort of a talentless team that got hot as hell after the All-Star break, faced a ton of lefties, and now they're facing teams that know them. It would have felt very, very good today to rip off that Band-Aid and get a late inning comeback against an AL Central foe. We're not a big good baseball team, though. And, at the end of the day, you kind of just rationalize it by tank. All right. Let's get into taking the temperature with our friends over at Four Seasons. Hey, maybe you have a hot water heater tank. You can call Four Seasons if it bursts. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Call 866-4Seasons. 24/7 service if you are ever in an emergency. If it's way too hot in your house and you realize your AC is broke, call 866-4Seasons. Let's take the temp with our friends over at Four Seasons. And what I want to take the temp on is Colson's been having a really good time, right? 10 homers in the last 19 games? He's making people completely forget about Luis Robert Jr. I don't want to cause drama and throw out names and bus toss anybody. But yesterday, Ryan McGuffey tweeted, when was the last time a highly touted prospect came up and delivered like this with Colson Montgomery, referring to Colson's 10 homers in 18 games. And then last night, he even had an RBI single that made it a 3-1 game. And, Luis Robert Jr. did this. Luis Robert Jr. almost won Rookie of the Year with his first 33 games in Major League Baseball. His September was terrible. But literally in his first 33 games, he had a 6.12 slugging. He had 10 home runs, just like Colson. He had 8 doubles, and he had 4 stolen bases. Half the reason they could have won the AL Central that year was because of Robert. Half the reason they didn't win it was because Robert fell off the face of the earth. But he still delivered, at least in the first 33 games, like Colson did. And then, hey, look at 2021. Kid was incredible. He was injured, but then when he came back, he delivered. He had like a 353 average. You look at 2022, he runs into that mysterious illness, but he was on the verge of a very, very good season. And then 2023, he has a 30-30 season. I understand 2024 and 2025 have not lived up to expectations. I think if you're comparing 2024 and 2025, you at least know that he's going to get well past 100 games. Just played in his 99th. Last year, he only played in 100. It's more WAR last year for him, funnily enough. He has like 1.4 BWAR in the 100 games last year compared to like a 1 WAR this year. But he still has August and September to finish out the year hot. I wouldn't be surprised if Robert finished with like 2 WAR. It's not good. Like, he's capable of much better. But, I think that there's still hope for Robert, and I think Getz sees that, obviously, as they're going to be bringing him back to at least entertain trade offers in the offseason. If they don't get anything, keep him for spring training. But what you're seeing is a little bit of bonding between Colson and Montgomery. Melissa mentioning, I love that Colson and Robert are buds. Do we have the video?
Sure do.
We have the video. Let's take the Colson and Robert temperature on their their friendship, because this was on, I believe, Sunday after Colson hits his homer. You can play it,
this inning. Well, you said you just never know when that hard hit percentage is going to come back and really start to even out. And the White Sox are making.
We didn't need to hear John and Stoney, but you could play it again. Yeah, you could just see these two, belovedly idiots, just smacking each other's hands. Colson's trying to teach Luis a handshake.
What is that?
I don't think we've really seen Luis bond with another player, not named Eloy Jimenez. And, even him and Abreu really didn't bond that much. I think they spoke the same language and could talk to each other, but I think Abreu was fairly closed off, and he was seemingly like, my work is my work, and I need to make my work the only thing I focus on. Because if I'm pulling my rope, then that makes it easier for everyone else to pull the rope. Like, I don't think, Jose Abreu was like ever putting his arm around Robert in like a mentorship way. I just like the Colson seeing him as another baseball player, right? It's not like, oh, my brother in a way. It's not an annoying little prospect like in maybe Abreu's mind. Colson's just like, I make handshakes with all my baseball buddies. He's just kind of like, doesn't care where Luis has come from, and he's just embracing Luis. And Luis is embracing back. This is from Brooke Fletcher, who retweeted that video when we posted it. So shout out to Brooke. But then, did I send you this? Oh, no, I didn't send you this. My bad. I'm sorry. Brooke then does say, though, that in a tweet to Dan Plesac, who was calling him the Monty Monster, Dan Plesac was calling Colson the Monty Monster, that Luis has now picked up on the nickname and has started calling Colson Monty Monster, which is fun. It's endearing. It's, as Kavan says, two dudes being fellas. That's what baseball's all about. And I like that Colson has the ability to just be friends with people. And we're seeing maybe the dog that was at the pound in Luis Robert Jr. start to warm up as we feed him with one of those long arm extenders, those little crane claws, like, here's a treat, little doggy. Let's make a little handshake up.
Taking the temp, Sean, is that handshake with Colson and Luis Robert Jr., is that also fun bad? Because it is fun to see him do it, but it's kind of bad.
Well, if it's the first time that they're doing it, like it's
a bit
Colson
wayward.
If Colson's trying to teach him in the moment, we just saw 8 seconds.
Oh, okay. So this is the training camp version of the handshake. We haven't seen regular season handshake yet.
Like that's the thing. Like next time we see it, how crisp is it? Are they even doing it? Do they just completely abandon it? Was Colson just messing around with Luis? Even then, the fact that Luis has a nickname for him, I think it's probably good for the culture. We overuse that term, but I think Will Venable has brought such a calmness to this locker room that even though they've lost 2 of 3 to Detroit, it's more about, hey, we put in the effort we wanted. We were in those games. We just need to execute better. We've been great against the fastball. It's on to the next series. And in a way, you can flush it without saying, flush it. Jerry saying, I think he got Griffold in 2024. Man, we got Griffold in 2023. We got Griffold in 2024. I wouldn't recommend getting Griffold. It wasn't a pleasant experience. Melissa also jumping in saying, of all the players we met at Sox Fest, Colson was very conversational along with Braden Montgomery. At least with Colson, that's just the Indianan in him. I think that guy has been chopping it up since day one. It's very region rat of him. Most of the people from the region are very, very conversational and know how to bust chops and chat with people. So that's not too super surprising. I don't even know, where's Braden from? I want to say he's from California because that's where most baseball players are from. But then he went to Stanford and Texas A&M. I don't think he's from Texas. And I could also say he's from Massachusetts. I have no idea where Braden Montgomery is from. We could find out during the break. Joey, you want to take a break?
Oh, yeah, let's take a break. I'm looking it up right now.
CHGO White Sox podcast. All right, we're going to go to Bet365. This is presented by Bet365. Use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment's never ordinary. This is the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Movie time. Ooh, look, Mark Burley's here. Ooh, look, John Garland's here. Ooh, look, it's Freddie Garcia. Oh, actually, this is Freddie Garcia. This is John Garland. And it's Jose Contreras. I bet he's throwing a split ball. Oh, a split finger. Amazing. I got this bobblehead for $7 pretty much because it was a free bobblehead and the tickets were only $7. It was the cheapest that I could get a ticket to that game because Game Time is the place for your lowest price guaranteed. If you are looking for the best deals, wait until right before Game Time. The prices go down on the app Game Time. It is the best way to buy tickets. I have not done or I have not bought a different way in the past 3 years. They have been an absolute lifesaver. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to help you out this summer. If you are looking to plan those barbecues, those 3-day vacations, those summer trips, maybe you want to go up the coast of Michigan, Mint Mobile is going to help your wallet out. They have a limited time offer for new customers. They're offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling both literally and financially. Maybe a frozen margarita to go with it. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you. The new customer offer with 3-month unlimited wireless plan is just for $15 a month. You keep your phone number and contacts. The only thing that changes is your overpriced wireless bill. You save money. Limited upfront payment for $45 required. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabits on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. Visit mintmobile.com/White Sox. That's mintmobile.com/White Sox. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox post-game show presented to you by Bet365. Our research team, our cracked research team made of 10s, 20s, behind the scenes
Teams
have been able to Google Braden Montgomery and have found where he was born. Joey, what has the research team found?
Born in Des Moines, Iowa. But according to
There
our
you go,
chat,
folks.
grew up in Mississippi.
There you
Thanks,
go, folks.
Melissa.
So, Iowa, right? From Iowa, Mississippi. Those folks know how to cut it up. Those folks know how to chat. All right? I mean, if you're from the Midwest, I think if you're from the South, if you're anywhere along the Mississippi, you know how to cut it up. You've just been entertaining visitors for 200 plus years. Or you're like my family and got here 50 years ago. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We did mention the bobblehead in the prior ad. Antoine saying, I got that bobblehead, the one right, over this shoulder, and got the Ray Durham one. He also has a Ventura one. Forgot when he got that one. I'm excited for the Ken Griffey one coming up. I didn't get the Ozzy one.
When is that?
I don't know, some Sunday coming up. It's a White Sox Ken Griffey. He's making the throw.
Oh!
Yeah, dude.
Kind of need it.
There was the Ozzy one. He was calling for Bobby, and honestly, the mess that this one was to get, I did not want to go through that again. And Ozzy doing the Bobby motion, I felt like there was probably going to be fist fights. The Griffey one might be a little bit chill. Melissa says August 24th.
Does the Ozzy
Griffey
one have like strings on it so it actually goes like
It
this,
should've.
where it should pull back?
It should've.
No one can see me, but I'm doing like a puppet
He's doing
marionette thing.
He's doing yeah. So I mean, he did not do. He doesn't go up and wide. I think he's in the wide stance, but he's got the bullpen jacket on. You know, he looks real slick.
We need to get back into the drawstring ones where our bobbleheads say phrases. I'd be into that.
Well, yeah, we have the.
You got the Grobber one.
Oh, yeah, we have the Grobber one over there. Les is over there that talks. I mean, we have the Aloy one that says. Because that's mostly all that he did after 2019 was just say, hi, Mom. And on the 24th, the Sox are taking on the Twins. All right, finally, just with Luis. I understand that he's an extremely frustrating player, and I'm also stupid when it comes to him. I tweeted out that, hey, what if they should extend him? That's not reality. He hasn't played good enough for an extension. But I do find it odd that people have just completely written him off. And I understand he's not what this player ended up being, because literally the next season that I excluded from this, or the next 2 seasons that I exclude from this, the guy wins an MVP, 2 MVPs in Frank. But when you look at Frank's first 378 games in his first 3 years, and you look at Luis's, first 367, and that's, I think, through, 2022? Sorry. No, that is through, 2020 to 2023. Robert plays 367 games. He puts up 13.1 WAR. Frank, in those first 378, puts up 16.3 WAR. Not exactly the same hitter as Frank Thomas. Frank had an OPS plus of 177, and then again, wins 2 MVPs. And Robert, in his past 2 years, have had his worst 2 seasons completely. But with Robert, 125 OPS plus in those 4 seasons, he still shows those signs of life. And the fact that he is warming up a little bit, I think should get you excited. I think that he's a player that you shouldn't abandon hope on, and it's something that is a fault of the media in a way. He deserved, I think, the Cuban Trout moniker, but it is also absurd to compare him to a MVP. And when a guy doesn't hit that threshold, even if it's like, a little bit below that, and he's still an all-star. He was an all-star in 2023. It's tough for fans to kind of settle with. I don't want this to happen with Colson Montgomery. I know we are all very excited, but I also, whenever I talk about Colson, have to bring up the expectations. There's expectations that he could have been the opening day shortstop on spring training. That didn't happen. He ran into back issues during spring training, which led to that not happening. He was terrible in his first month in April. And then they had to go to Arizona to adjust his swing. And really, if you look at that AAA stretch post-Arizona, there wasn't anything that was like, oh, wow, they need to call this guy up. I mean, people were even saying when he got called up, I don't know, seems a little bit too early. Give these guys time because we know how bad it can get. And I just want us as fans to enjoy these moments because baseball is not going to be like 2005 every single year. You're not going to be able to break an 88-year curse. You have to set up the 88-year curse first. It's not going to be 11-1 every year, single year too. It could be like 2021. And as we learned, it might only be 2021 or even 2020 where you have a chance against Oakland but aren't able to deliver. You got to look back fondly in 2020 when Robert hits that homer against Fires. In 2021, you got to look back fondly at the Leary homer because he's a legend. You got to look now at this Colson run and be like, wow, I was there for that moment. I remember that experience and that excitement for Colson because he could just be terrible for the rest of the year. And that shouldn't sour you on the moments that you did have and have had with Colson so far. Take your time with this team. Even the ones that are 28 and haven't lived up to very, very lofty expectations, because you never know when it can turn for a player or an organization, and it might not turn overnight, but it might turn over several options. And don't worry, Shy Sox Anthony, we've brought up the Getz quote that it's not even Sox should pick up the option. They will. Jerry saying LA gave Conforto $17 million to platoon. I don't think giving Robert $20 million next year is way out of the question. It is not out of the question. That option is being picked up. Period. Chris Getz has talked about that. And I didn't mean that Colson's souring. I'm just saying, like, if he does sour and has a bad end of the season, like, don't sour on the player, right? Just like enjoy the moment. This isn't going to be because like people are soured and being like, oh, Gordon Beckham all over again. Right? Like, don't have your Gordon Beckham experience, which shouldn't be that clouded. I own my Gordon Beckham jersey very proudly. I love your love, right? Like, I'm just trying to say, like, there's brief moments of fun at times for baseball fans. So don't let that drought make you have disdain for water.
Well, and
you're
also
finally getting some rain here in Colson. Embrace it. I didn't mean that he was souring.
Well, yeah, and I think you're just preaching a rationale of Colson Montgomery is not immune to probably posting a 2 for 22 at some point this season, and I know it's really easy as a White Sox fan to do like a here we go again, or it was good while it lasted, but I think you're just preaching some patience while also trying to savor the moment right now of how good he has been and how fun he has been to watch.
Yeah, and like, I mean, again, like we had it with Luis to the point where like 5 years from now, again, like when it was happening, 5 years at this point, people like Ryan McGuffey are just forgetting about the ride. Like I forgot about the Steve Cishek homer that he hit in those like fake games that they were broadcasting on NBC Sports Chicago. Cishek throws this sweeper to Robert, and it's rookie Robert in July 18th before they even started real live Major League Baseball games, and he hits it to the concourse as a righty. Like, he had his own concourse rookie shot, and we all went crazy that day. So, like, I just, I know it has been a somewhat souring experience with Robert, but it hasn't all been sour. And it's okay to appreciate the sweet of those moments. It's okay to not like the experience of Eloy Jimenez and still look back fondly on that Patrick Corbin moonshot that he had in 2019. If you thought Joe Borchard was going to be the next savior of the White Sox, you could still look back fondly on the 502 homer shot that he had. You know, that's all I'm saying. And they will pick up the option again. Jerry's saying Conforto got $17 million to platoon. I don't think giving Robert $20 million is out of the question. It's not out of the question. I think it's more being looked at as a $5 million raise. And I think that things will steady out for him. Antoine saying, Luis just reminds me of the old regime, and I'm kind of done with it. I want to embrace these new young guys coming up, and every time I see him, it just reminds you of what ifs and mostly failures, which I completely understand. But if the new regime is who we think they are, we are who they thought we are. Sorry to Dennis Green and screwing up that quote.
You let him off the hook.
Thank you. If Ryan Fuller and Chris Getz are who they say they are, and this culture is changing under Will Venable, maybe the what if can still happen. Not to give you another what if off of a what if, but I'm just saying, like, even though the Robert experience hasn't clicked yet, he's not even 28. Or I think he's about to turn 28. How old is Luis? He has an August birthday. He's a Leo, like your boy. But I think he's August 3rd? Yeah, he's 28 now. He's the same year as me. August 3rd, 1997, so he just turned 28 10 days ago. Like, that's usually people's primes. Usually the prime of people's careers are 28 to 32. Maybe, just maybe, there is still a lot of life left for this 28-year-old. God, I hope so, as I'm going to be 28 soon. Hey, isn't that always funny, too? That kid's August 3rd, 1997. I'm August 20s. 1997.
Wow, you didn't reveal the specific date, Sean?
Because I don't do that.
What, you don't want Jerry and Melissa and Kevin in the chat and myself to heap praise upon you when your birthday comes around?
If he grew up in Oak Lawn, is he in Miss McGovern's class or is he in Miss Moran's class? Are we buddies in Miss McGovern's?
You and a young Luis are doing a really weird handshake. That's the case back in the day.
I think that, part of it is what Jerry's saying. The Sox have no one in the minors to bring up to play center field, and there's no free agent center fielders on the market with his potential. There's no free agents on the market with his potential. There's nobody else that I'd give $20 million to. Like, it's not even just center field. It's like you're either giving Pete Alonso a ton of money or you're giving Luis Robert Jr. And I'm a lot more interested in the 28-year-old who's playing center field, swinging a big power bat. So I think that it's very, very easy for them to decide to pick up this option. Okay, well, let's talk about the prospect ranks real quick. Pipeline put out their midseason farm system rankings. Fangraphs updated theirs. Baseball America did as well. Shout out to Alex Rude and BZ for pushing this narrative. But the White Sox have seen a fall from what they have been experiencing with their farm system. Just to put it in perspective from Pipeline, 2023, the White Sox midseason rank for prospects was 20. 2024, their preseason rank was 20th. 2024, their midseason rank was 11th. 2025, their preseason rank was 6th. Now they're at 17. I don't think that this is the worst thing. The Sox did tie the Cubs for the biggest drop from preseason rankings, but it's mainly because Teal, Caro, Mydroth have all graduated. You could even throw on top of that, Colson Montgomery will soon graduate, so this 17 will honestly probably fall to like 18 or 19. You can look at Baseball America, who currently ranked the White Sox 18 out of 30, and when you look at Fangraphs, when you take the value of their farm systems, Cleveland has a $271 million farm system. That's what at least Fangraphs values theirs, and they're number one in baseball. The White Sox have a farm system valued at 157, and that's 21st in Major League Baseball. It's not as bad as KC, San Diego, and Houston, who are all under 100 million. It's not as bad as the Cubs, or Colorado, who are under 150 million. But it's bottom 10. Part of it is Luis, and that's why they needed for a trade to hit. And that's why you're seeing them take that $5 million increase next year on him, is because if they're able to get two prospects that can be in their top 10, that could be a game changer for the White Sox on top of what the draft could be. This isn't going to be I don't want to signal a red flag because I think the Sox can easily reload this talent. But it's also part of like people graduating, having only the 10th pick, and then as Shy Sox Anthony saying, it's the drop in our pitchers. You have Noah not being as graded highly as he once was. And then Hagen, he's dealt with a dip in his velocity. They went and changed his biomechanics in I was going to say August, and then in April. It's a place. It's Arizona. Surprise, it's Arizona. But Hagen's going to start tonight. I think his last time out, he had 6 strikeouts. So we'll see about Hagen. But yeah, it's not a good report from the outside. I'm very cool with Schultz. I'm not too worried about him. They don't have him throwing his dominant pitch in the cutter because it's throwing off his biomechanics. So like, I still think that guy, maybe not in 2026 opening day, but he will pitch in 2026 for the Sox. Hagen, I have a worry that he might just be a bullpen only arm. So like, that's kind of the big red flag with him. But I mean, Carlson, I feel like is a little underrated. They talk about him as like that he could be Andrelton Simmons at worst. Like they talk about him being a defensive wizard. He's the greatest prep shortstop we've ever seen field the position.
Well, if he has a good fall league too as well, heading into next year, that will mean something in terms of the
but I mean even right now at this point, like he's 18. It's that's the whole joy of prep kids is, you know, Billy Carlson eats steaks only from November to February and gains 20 pounds and is hitting just absolute bombs. And it's like, oh, well, now we can readjust our mindset on this kid. Like, I think that you shouldn't panic as a Sox fan. I think that things can easily bounce back. But I just want to point out, like, you know, it is still on Chris Getz to prove this. Like, they still need to fix guys. You know, it's not just, oh, we fixed Colson Montgomery, we're good, right? Like, this is going to be a continuous journey for the Sox to figure out how much they can adjust, fix, and maybe help guys get back on a track that maybe they once thought were on, to be on.
Yeah, and something to keep an eye on as a White Sox fan, too, as well, is if you're talking about a lot of the people that they've graduated this year, a good amount of them have been prospects that have been acquired via trade. So ultimately, if you want to have an incredibly healthy organization from a prospect perspective, you got to be drafting these guys. You got to find them internationally, and you got to develop them on your own. They can't always just come from via trade. And that's maybe the next course of action for Chris Getz here as they move back a little bit in the rankings.
Joey, should we sim the lottery? I can just sim it. We don't need to pull it up.
Okay, cool. Pirates lost today, by the way, for anyone.
Okay, do I re-up it?
Scoring
okay,
at home.
So now the Sox are, 11 and a half games back. I don't know who they're half game back of. Oh, I guess it's Colorado, but Colorado doesn't count. So Pittsburgh is 18 and a half. Sox are 11 and a half. So the Sox have a 6.5 game lead. What's 18 minus 11 and a half, Joey?
Wait, 18 what?
6.5.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. 6.5.
Good for you.
Sox have a 6.5 game lead. So, I mean, that's a series plus, right? That's 2 series plus. They could lose or win 6 straight games and still have a lead over the Pirates, I think, unless the Pirates lose. I'm not a good math guy. I'm going to sim the lottery. Sox fall to 3. That's not that bad.
That's okay. That's all right.
That's not that bad.
That's not that bad.
Okay. Tampa and Miami jumped, so that's who jumped the Sox. It
Gross.
Wasn't up.
Don't like drafting behind Tampa Bay. I will just say.
I simmed it again.
Where are we at?
Number 1.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna sim it uno más tiempo. Uno más tiempo.
Yes,
hey.
that's what we like to say.
2 for 3, getting the number 1 pick. I think that's good. Folks. That's where we can end it here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We will be back on Sunday to recap the White Sox and the Royals series as they as they go to Kansas City and take on the Royals. We will see you on Sunday. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.